13 years ago today, I thought to myself, maybe I could try this new podcasting thing. And I did. And it was a sheer and utter train wreck. It was a terrible, terrible idea because I didn't know what I was doing and the sound was terrible and I didn't prepare anything to say. And here I am, 13 years later, through all the ups and downs and inside outs that have happened along the way. And I'm still here, and I'm still doing this. And I love it more today than I ever have before. So I hope you will join me today as we celebrate the 13th anniversary of Project Shadow.
Can you hear me? I have something to say.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Project Shadow, this very special episode of Project Shadow, 13th anniversary episode of Project Shadow. My name's Charlie. You might know me better as sci-fi fantasy writer C.E. Dorset, and I just can't believe that we're here. I can't believe that we are doing this right now, because if you would have told me 13 years ago, when I started recording these episodes, when I started doing this show, that I would still be here this many years later, recording episodes of the podcast, loving to record episodes of the podcast, I would have called you crazy. I would have called you nuts. Because who does anything for this amount of time? I don't, usually, with the exception of my writing and a few other things. But that's how I know that it is a passion. That's how I know that this is something that I deeply, truly love to do. And that this is something that really that really means the world to me. Sorry, I got a little choked up there. I'm not going to edit that out because I feel today of all days is a day that I should be authentic, that I should be putting it out there as to who and what I am doing. And yeah, so 13 years. We have had guests, hosts on the show. The show has morphed in quality and content over the years. But the one thing has stayed consistent. My passion for fandom, my passion for science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and this wonderful community that we have built with each other to get this message out, that within all of the things that we love, there is wonder hidden within it. If only we look, if only we go to see, if only we open our eyes to the possibilities of what could be there. And so here we are together on this special day. And I promise I'm not going to cry. I promised myself I was not going to cry. But I want to. I really do. Because with everything that's happened over the last 13 years, I didn't think I would still be here. And I mean that quite literally. I've had some health issues over the years. I've had some mental health issues over the years. And this podcast has been a huge part of my recovery and just learning to love my life again. After my unscheduled mental health vacation, when I started doing this podcast again, I was surprised how many people were still subscribed to the stream and to the channel, to the podcast, whatever we want to call it, and actually listened to those early episodes when I came back after that break. You all have meant the world to me over the years. You all have been the heart and soul that has kept me moving. You are the beat that pumps the blood through my black heart. And I know you think I butter you up, but it's true. I love each and every one of you. You mean the world to me. You are the reason I keep doing this. And I have a lot of plans for the podcast for the future. This is the start of season 4, and I want to talk about that a little bit today. Season 4 of this podcast is going to be different. How, you might ask? Because it's never the same thing. It's always changing. It's always morphing. How are you going to do something different for Season 4? Well, for starters, we're going back to daily. We are going back to doing a daily podcast because I've heard from you all. I've seen the numbers. I've seen the messages coming in. Yes, we're going to go back to daily. And in this change, in this return to daily podcasting, we are going to be doing some interesting, strange, and new things. One, I'm going to create some characters and do some episodes from those characters' points of view and perspective, which should be amazingly fun. So they're going to be like little mini stories moving on, kind of meta stories, if you will, about the world of Project Shadow and what we are doing here. I'm also going to be continuing all of the stuff that I've normally done. We're going to be doing reviews. We're going to be talking about rewatches. We're going to be talking about writing and world building, because don't think I forgot, World Building 201 will be starting soon, and I'm really excited for it. We're going to be doing World Building Wednesdays, and that is going to be so much fun. So if you haven't checked out World Building 101, the playlist is up on Spotify. You can find a link to it over at projectshadow.com. Yeah, this is going to be a thing. The other thing that's going to be a lot more interesting this time around is I have a YouTube channel. And so I'm going to be doing interviews and bringing some of that content over here, not just like in replays sort of ways. I'm going to try to find some of those wonderful people that I've been talking to, those writers, those creators, those amazing artists and developers, and bringing them in so we have more voices in on the conversation. More voices bringing their ideas and their wonder into our world. Because after all, that's what this is all about, bringing unseen wonder to light. And I hope you enjoy that. You've already heard 2 of those interviews, the one that I did with Cache Warren and the one that I did with Kiera L. Rose. There are more. I did not do an episode this week, a interview episode this week, because it's the anniversary week, and I knew at that point we were doing 2 podcasts a week. And so I thought to myself, I don't want to put out 3 because I've said 2, but now we're going to 5, so you'll see. We'll get more of those mixed in. We're going to be talking about different topics, so definitely let me know what you want to be hearing. On that note, I'm hoping, since I've been getting a lot more feedback on the YouTube channel, to be bringing more of your questions into the podcast so that these episodes will serve you better, so that they will be answering your questions to the best of my ability and making your lives better. Because I don't want it to be about me. That's always been the problem that I've had with this podcast, is I felt so solipsistic and navel-gazy because I'm always talking about what I think about things and what I'm doing and my life and all of that. And I don't want it. I don't want it to be that. And there will still be some of that because my husband and I are rewatching Warehouse 13, and I forgot how much I loved the show. I mean, just absolutely loved the show. So my opinions will be here. I love the work that I'm currently doing, and so I will definitely be talking about that because I love the work that I'm currently doing. So there will be that. But I want this to be about us and about the community and helping it grow and making it strong. So, my dear outsiders, let me know what it is that you want. Start sending your requests in. You know where to find me on Instagram, on Twitter, in the voice message system, which is linked down below. Anywhere that you can find to contact me, contact me. Because I would love to answer your questions so that this really becomes, this season, a true community podcast. And of course, if you'd like to be on mic, let me know. I would love to do that too. Because we together can conquer the world. I've seen that with my own two eyes. I have lived that with my own life. And I can't wait to see what we accomplish together. I know I've talked a lot lately about the power of community, but this is one of those things that this year has taught me so much. And I think a lot of us have been learning that lesson. With everything that's been going on with the plague, with the Rona stalking our streets, with the Black Lives Matter movement getting some mainstream attention, at least for a little bit, and hopefully more in the future, we have learned the power of the community. We have learned that it is important for us to lift up our voices and to speak our truths. This is us. This is who we are. And for this 43-year-old, non-binary, queer writer in the middle of nowhere, to be able to speak out into the world and get such wonderful feedback from you all is amazing. But we need to go a step further. We need to stretch out and make this the year that we take over the world. This is the year that Project Shadow activates. This is the year where we reveal unseen wonder in not only the fiction we love, but in our own lives. Because let me tell you something. No matter how dark and dismal and drab your life might feel, there is wonder there to be seen. There is wonder to be found, to be mined, to be brought out for all of us to enjoy and celebrate. You are magic. The fact that you exist is a miracle. We are star stuff. We are the voice of the earth crying out to the heavens. We are here. We will be seen. And no one should feel alone. And that's what you all have taught me. This isn't my platform. This isn't my self-help guru BS. No, this is the lesson that you have taught me this year. That we together, we collectively can do anything that we set our minds to. We can bring change. We can shake the world. And that's what we are going to do this year. We are going to pick our causes. We are going to be strong. We are going to change our own lives and the lives of those around us. We are going to follow our dreams. We are going to pursue our goals. And I know that sounds like New Year's resolution-y stuff, and you're like, but Charlie, this is the first episode of the new season. Of course you're going to be all New Year's resolution-y. No, I mean it. We are going to hold each other accountable. We are going to push each other, motivate each other, and strive together to reach our goals. Because alone, we can be picked off. Alone, when the wolf howls and the depression comes and the anxiety stalks us through the dark forest at night, we can be picked off one by one. But together as a unified whole, we can protect one another. We can motivate one another. We can stand strong, and we can get to our goals. We can achieve anything we set our mind to. And that is the magic of this year. That is the goal of this year. That is what we are going to accomplish. That is how we are going to change everything. Everything. And don't think that I'm being overly dramatic now. Don't think that I am saying things to just hype you all up. Over the last 2 years, my life has changed immeasurably for the better, and it's because I made the conscious choice to do just little things every day to improve my life. I set goals, small goals, little goals, stretch goals, and I have worked to achieve them. That's how we do this. It's not the incremental change, it's the keeping our eyes on the prize and making sure that we know the steps and the stages that we need to go through to get there. Together, as one, we will walk through this dark forest and we will get to where we need to be. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We will get there together. We will get to the other side. And on the other side, we will find our dreams, our goals, and our passions. Because passion is life. And wonder awaits us.
Hi, everyone. It's Emery and Rich, and I know you haven't heard from me for a while, not because I don't love you, but because I have been so busy with my 2 careers, and now 3. I have too much going on. Everybody does, I'm sure. I just wanted to say a very happy anniversary, 13th anniversary. Can you believe it's been so long? To Charlie and the gang. Project Shadow has evolved and changed and is now in its 13th year. That's amazing. I remember when I used to call in and do little bits for them. I don't know if it was annoying or if it added to the show, but I miss you guys a lot. And Charlie, good going. It's so hard to keep a podcast going, and along with everything else you got to do. So love ya. And I'm going to share a spooky reading. It's actually a fiction rewrite of Edgar Allan Poe's Annabel Lee. It's going to be an excerpt from a book called Quoth the Raven from Camden Park Press. And this is a book full of contemporary reimaginings of the work of Edgar Allan Poe, which is just so cool. If you don't remember the poem Annabel Lee, Poe wrote, "It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me." And now I'm going to share an excerpt of My Annabel by me, Emery and Rich. Enjoy! And Charlie, congratulations, and I wish you so much more success in your life, love. Love ya.
My Annabel by Emery and Rich. They blame me, but I couldn't stop it. Annabel was going to die from the moment she hugged that poor sick child, but neither of us vocalized it. It was more of an exchanged look, a silent message as she smoothed back the hair of that poor, homeless waif. The virus had been loosed on a plane flying in from London, but the passengers didn't start getting sick until they left the airport. By then, they'd had time to infect others. Patients streamed into the ER faster than we could care for them. The rules? Stay 4 to 6 feet away, use the protective gear, and make no contact. We followed the rules, except that once. I can't explain why Annabel picked up the child whose sneeze infected her, only that it could have just as easily been me. Perhaps it was the child's pleading blue eyes, too young to know the severity of what her innocent-seeming cold meant. Or maybe it was those cute chubby cheeks covered with tears. Maybe it was because we'd talked of having such a child, of finally being ready to give ourselves up to parenting, of allowing our lives to be taken over by the mixture of joy and stress of being parents. Diapers, late-night feedings, no rest. After all, if 2 doctors couldn't function without a little sleep, then what good were we? And so Annabel allowed herself to be infected because of a sudden lapse in judgment, an urgent wish to ease a little girl's suffering. Who could fault her for that? No one. But they blame me. She waved me off when a few of the interns in hazmat swooped in to handle the girl. The interns washed Annabel too. They worked quickly, shedding her of her clothes and wiping her down as I watched from the other side of the glass. "She can be saved," they murmured. No way the great Dr. Lee, one half of the greatest medical team ever known to the West Coast, could succumb to the virus as the result of simply embracing a defenseless young soul. We were brilliant surgeons, but our bodies were still human. The physical laws of biology and virus still applied. By the time I'd been installed in a hazmat suit, my Annabel was naked and shivering, more from fever than cold. Unembarrassed by being on the patient's side, where modesty was nothing compared to wellness, her teeth chattered as she fell into my white-shrouded arms. I embraced her, gripping the body I knew as well as my own, wishing I could smell her hair, wanting nothing more than to rip off my mask and succumb alongside my love. But when I moved to do so, she pleaded with me to protect myself, that it was she who made the mistake, she who must pay the price. "You must live on," she said. "You must live this life for us both." In those last hours, as I held her in my lap, me in my hazmat, she in her hospital robe, Annabelle reminded me of our life. Not the life we lived then, each trying to be strong for the other, trying to concentrate on the love, not the loss, but our life before, when we moved to San Francisco fresh out of medical school against her parents' wishes to be interns in a new city on the West Coast. She spoke of the little apartment we could barely afford, of lovemaking between shifts or on breaks or wherever we could. In the car, in the on-call room, and sometimes in our own bed, exhausted but craving each other's touch. She reminded me of those rare days off when we'd take a picnic in the park and roll in the grass, enjoying the sun on our pale indoor skin, or running along the beach letting the freezing water tingle our toes in the sand. "We loved with a love that was more than a love," she said, her weary, red-rimmed eyes looking up at me from her curled spot on my lap. "That we did, and will always, forevermore," I replied. After the light was gone from her eyes and her heart stopped for good, I held her still, willing my love to revive her. You'd think it would, for why would the heavens give us such a gift of love, if not to make it powerful enough to bring back life?
Thank you, Em. That was amazing. Yeah, 13 years. It's crazy. And no, it was never annoying. I get wistful from time to time because I got into so much anime and manga because of you. And every time you sent something into the show, it made me so happy. And I'm glad that you could be a part of this. You are so busy. If you are not familiar with M. Marion Rich's wonderful work, go to emzbox.com and learn all about all of the amazing stuff she's doing. That's emzbox.com. You can find a link to all of her work there. She is amazing. She is a friend of mine from way back, and I'm glad that she could be on this. When I was trying to think of people that I wanted on this anniversary episode, I immediately asked and hoped that she would have time to submit something, and that was better than I ever dreamed. And by the way, I hope you enjoyed that little snippet, because now it's your turn. This is one of the main things that we are going to be doing in the next season of Project Shadow. I want your fiction. I want your stories. Keep the audio to 5 minutes. Limit it to 5 minutes. You can go a little bit over, a little bit under. That's fine, but try to be around as close as you can to 5 minutes. Remember, the average spoken word is about 150 to 155 words a minute. If you need to do some math to figure out how many words your story or poem should be, have fun with it. Submit them to me. Let me hear your stuff. I want to feature you on the podcast. I want you to be on Project Shadow. Like I said, this is the year that this becomes our community podcast. This is the year that we rise up to tell our stories. So what are your stories? What can you submit, you might be asking? Anything. Fantasy, science fiction, horror, anything that works. I have to say, with the Year Zero project coming up and the characters that you're going to start meeting in the wonderful world of Project Shadow, if you just want to write a fanfic that plays along with the story that you're going to be experiencing here, go ahead, do it. I can't wait to hear them. Even if you're a contemporary writer or a mystery writer, if you can give us a nice slice of life or a nice mystery that fits into that 5-minute time frame, do it. This is a creative challenge to all of y'all, and we will see what wonderful things you all can create. Because we, together, are going to take over the world this year. We are going to be the change that we want to see. And your stories are going to be a big part of that. Because this is how we can shout each other out. This is how we can give a boost. If you're having trouble writing your novel, write me a really short story, 500 words, 5 minutes. That's not a long time. You can fit a story that small together and then submit it. And then you're done. You've accomplished something. I can't wait to hear what wonderfully dark, sinister, magical, wonderful, enchanting, mysterious stories that you are going to bring to the wonderful world of Project Shadow. And guess what? I'm going to be doing some too. I'm going to be telling some stories as well. All kinds of stories. Dark stories, whimsical stories. And you will find out soon exactly what they are going to be. So it's been a long, strange trip to get here. It's been a crazy, strange trip to get here. From just me on the podcast, to me with co-hosts on the podcast, to just me on the podcast, to weird kind of audio bloggy podcasts, to extremely structured podcasts, to everything in between and in the middle and to the side. But we have made it through it all. For 13 years, we have made it through it all. And I couldn't have done it without you. And I have to say, for anybody who's confused why this is 13 years and there's only 4 seasons, that's because they didn't have podcast seasons when I got started. And I do a daily podcast, and I couldn't figure out exactly how I wanted to do seasons. And so it took a while for me to figure it out. And then I just declared season 1 is everything that I did up until the point that season 2 started. And then there's season 2, 3, and 4. So season 1 is crazy long. And for anybody who's a completist, I have to say this every now and then, please don't try to listen to every episode of this show. As I am recording this is episode 1054 of this podcast. So yeah, you might not want to try to do that. There's a lot. Especially because a lot of the older episodes going back were like an hour. So yeah, there's a lot of me talking on the internet. But it's been amazing. And I hope that you're excited to see what we've got going forward. I hope you are as excited as I am about the future of this podcast, especially now that we have the YouTube channel and everything going with it. This has been an amazing year with its ups and its downs and its sheer and utter insanity. But next year, y'all, you have seen nothing yet. We are going to be doing so much. So, on that note, if you're not familiar with my YouTube channel, you can find it over at youtube.com/CEDorset. Links to all of this will be, as always, in the show notes, as well as over at projectshadow.com. I do live streams over there every Wednesday and Friday. The Wednesday podcast, the Wednesday stream is for writing. We do writing sprints. We encourage each other. We answer each other's questions and try to help out. The Friday stream is for fan fiction, but if you have another project, you can gladly come along. Fan fiction Fridays are going to be a thing. I have an entire fan fiction project that I'm working on, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get it out into the universe. I cannot wait to get it out into the world. That gets announced today. You can also see I do videos over there fairly regularly. And I'm probably going to be doing a chat show exclusive over there on Saturdays. I also have a Twitch channel. So that's twitch.tv/CEDorset. And I'll basically pick your poison. If you prefer to watch on Twitch, you watch on Twitch. If you prefer to watch on YouTube, you can watch on YouTube. I stream on both. I am trying to figure out some unique stuff to do just on Twitch, but I'm not a gamer, so there's that. I might start streaming the recording of the podcast. I don't know. We shall see. Watch the space. And of course, all the worlds that I'm doing over at World Anvil. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or topics you'd like to hear discussed on the show, down in the show notes you'll find a link to the voice message system. Keep it short, keep it clean. I would love to hear from you. You can also hit me up on social media. I am CEDorset pretty much everywhere. You can find links to my Twitter, my Instagram, and everything down in the show notes. Also, I'm much more active on Instagram, so if you have to pick your poison, if you're on Instagram, that's the best place to follow me. Alrighty. If you've got a buck that you can pass my way, it really does help out, especially right now with everything going on. Down in the show notes, you'll find a link to both to all three, the listener support, my coffee, and my Patreon. Thank you to everybody who does that. It means the world to me. You have no idea. Thank you so much. And if you don't have any money right now or you don't feel like giving, then share. Sharing really is caring. It helps out more than you know, because the hardest part in any of the stuff that I do is getting the word out. So please share. Thank you in advance. And thank you retroactively for everybody who's been doing that. You all are amazing. Don't forget to send me your short stories in audio form, please, to charlie@dashpunk.com. And until next time, when we go daily again, don't forget to have the fun. Bye.